Here's another question. Is there a special way to read the Bible? Well, from what I've seen, they have different theories on how we are supposed to read the Bible. Like it's different. But from what I've learned, the Bible is a collection of writings. Like this, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. Those are historical books written, historical writings given by God. Then we have poetry and writings from prophets of God. Then we have New Testament authors, witnesses of Christ. And we have letters written from apostles to fellow believers. So is there a special way to read? In school, I learned that when you read a book, like this book, where do you start? You start at the beginning of the book. You don't just jump into a book and understand. This is a story written by an author. So in the same way, do we just jump in and pick out stuff in books and be able to understand it? Like this? Would this author want you to just jump in anywhere and understand it? Or would this author want you to just jump in anywhere and pick something out? To me, I don't believe so. So, in the same way, when we read a book or a letter, how are we to understand what the person is telling you? Well, we would start at the beginning. And he would want to just start at the beginning. And how would we read a letter? Well, how would you read a letter from a friend? You start at the beginning and read it to the end to know what this person is telling you, what he wants to say. It has an opening paragraph, the body of what is being talked about, and a closing statement and a farewell, or a concluding paragraph. Just like we learned in school. I wasn't very good in reading class, but I do remember how they taught us to read. There is a subject and a predicate to sentences, and there is ways to write stories. You have a beginning, a body, and a conclusion. Even a summary, or a book report, or a letter to your mom or dad. Dear Mom. And you open with something, you tell what you want them to tell, and you conclude your writing with a conclusion. All other books and stories or letters are read this way? Why do we think that God would want us to read His Word that points to the Lord Jesus Christ for the redemption of our soul any other way? How are we to understand what He's saying if we just open and pick something and think that we can understand this? We can't, because what that is saying in that spot has all this before it and all this after it. Some verses are not even complete sentences, so they're lacking part of the sentence, part of the subject, and the predicate. We learned this in school. Why would we treat the words given and written by men from God, the creator of all things, in this way? I'm very sorry, but I think we need to ignore the chapters and verses that are supposed to be helping fellowships to be in the same area as we study together. It's not how we read it. It's just to help us find where we're reading together, so that when the family of God comes together, we're not confused or lost, but we can find the right spot in the book, in a particular book or a writing that we're reading as a family. We're not to use those things as thinking that we can understand what God is saying by one single verse. It causes so much confusion, and we're not listening to what God actually told these men and what they are trying to tell us. Please read the writings of the Bible the way they are meant to be read. They have a purpose, and God is telling us by writings of these men what He wants us to know. We need to start at the beginning, read through, and end where they end to understand what God is telling us. Thank you.